I'm Kenneth, a relationship coach and a psychotherapist. Don't go through a breakup alone. Click on the link in the description below to get a one-on-one coaching with me, or go to my website, askcraig.net. Hi there, I'm Coach Kenneth, and in this video I'm going to be talking to you about I didn't mean it. So the reason that I decided to do this video is because we often tell our partners things that we don't mean when we're angry or upset. So it's a really important topic for you guys, whether you're in a relationship now or trying to get your ex back, to always be considerate of the things that you say towards your partner. Now, a lot of you guys may have grown up in homes where you were abused verbally, and so you have been kind of numb to that. And sometimes you guys don't even realize that the things that you say to your partner really cause a disconnect. And once there's a disconnect with your partner, it often sets off anxiety and a ton of other symptoms that are going to lead to major problems. So you have to understand that one of the key ingredients to any relationship is safety. Obviously physical safety, but emotional safety too. And if you are unable to manage your own emotions and your feelings, and if you get anxious and stressed and then you lash out, you're going to cause a disconnect that's going to make your partner no longer trust you, no longer feel safe, then it's going to trigger anxiety, and a lot of other symptoms are going to come from it. I had an email today that I thought would help you see how damaging even one really hurtful thing can be to your relationship. You have to understand that a lot of times when we're upset and we're angry, we want to hurt our partner because we're hurting or we're upset, and so we want to make them hurt or angry and upset too. And you don't really want to do that. It's best to take a deep breath, walk away, deal with the situation later. One way to look at it is, if the topic isn't something that would make you angry a week from now, why let it affect you in the present moment? In other words, if it's not that big of a deal that a week from now you wouldn't be upset, you'd be like, oh no, that's no big deal. Why get upset in the present moment? So that's a good way to kind of gauge how important of a topic or a discussion, or whether it's something to get upset about or just leave alone. So many times when we're upset and we're angry, we are controlling because we are trying to negate. We're being negative. We're trying to negate our partner. We're trying to say, we are one, but I'm the only one that matters. Your opinions, your views, your behaviors, your thoughts don't matter. It all goes based on what I believe is right for the both of us. Now, let's flip that for a minute and imagine that your partner did that to you, where whatever they said or thought or believed should be okay and you have to go along with that. See how quickly that feeling gets turned around and you're just like, oh, that would be awful. Well, think about it next time you do that to them. You need to be aware of controlling your partner, manipulating them, and trying to get them to do what you want them to do. Because it's really very selfish, and I can tell you that if you think about it, you think back to people telling you what to do in your life, it's a pretty awful feeling of not feeling that freedom to make decisions or have thoughts or beliefs. So you have to be careful about these things, because any of that kind of behavior will ruin safety in the relationship. And if there's not safety, people are not going to be more vulnerable and trusting. They're not going to be wanting to share things with you. They're just going to they're going to be more and more distant from you to protect themselves. So the email is from a guy who is 44 years old and his ex-girlfriend is 43 years old. and they have been together for almost 3 years. And he said it's a long story, but basically they had a somewhat volatile relationship. So right off the bat, I'm thinking unresolved trauma from childhood for both of them. He said in 2013, November of that year, they met and they hit it off instantly. Within a week, she seemed to be in love with me. That's not good right there, and that tells me attachment trauma, because people that have healthy boundaries do not fall in love a week later. That is lust, and most likely it's a projection of hope. I've never had my needs met, so I'm so desperate to have them met. Any little sign of it, they're going to be like, oh, finally somebody's come along. You're going to be clinging to it, right? Especially if that person reminds you of your caregiver who never met those needs for you. Think about it. He said I had separated from my wife, but told this girl that I was divorced. So he wasn't honest there. I hated that I did this, but I was afraid she wouldn't give me a chance if she knew I was only separated. So he's starting the relationship off with a lie. Now what? One lie leads to more. Then what are you going to do? To cover your tracks, you're just going to keep lying? Not good. Somebody doesn't want you because you were divorced. I mean, really, what's the difference between divorced and separated? I mean, yeah, maybe the person might say, well, I'm not really interested until the divorce is final. But sometimes it's just a legal matter, as opposed to an emotional separation is what I mean. After 4 months, I told her the truth. And she was emotional. She was upset, but she said she forgave me. After the first few months, we began to argue more, as I guess our true selves came out. This is so true, people. The beginning stage, when you're first starting to date somebody, those first 3 months, typically, people are just on their best behavior. They're always having fun. Everything is new and exciting. All those chemicals released in your brain. You're completely ignoring the red flags. I see that a lot around the 3-month mark. He said, we are both very headstrong people set in our ways. Well, you can imagine they must be fun to deal with, right? Still, even though our relationship was filled with occasional arguing, in August of 2015, we decided to take the next step. She sold her house and she moved her son into my house. I was excited, but still the arguing continued. So, you had some symptoms going on there that the relationship wasn't working. You could have started to look for ways to communicate better or really work on the issue. But you didn't, so let's see what happens. Within 2 months, we got into a big argument over something petty. I yelled out, maybe y'all should move out. Can't take that back. He said, Craig, I didn't mean it. But before I knew it, she went and signed an apartment lease. I was hurt because I didn't want them to leave. I pleaded with her, and she agreed to stay together, although she did move to the apartment. So her actions and her words, two contrasting differences right there, right? She's saying, I'll work it out, but she's moving out. I sold my house in November of 2015 and moved in with them. That sounds like a good idea. You broke up, and 3 months later, you sell your house to move in with them? We had a few good months, even went on a great family vacation in December. Still, on and off, there was occasional arguing. We then decided to look for our dream home to rent, and left the apartment in February of 2016. We were all so excited, but still within a month, our arguing continued. So, he said, one day I even told her that I paid more of the rent so she needed to go sleep upstairs after an argument. Very mature. Very, very. Come on, man, what were you thinking? You got no emotional self-control when it comes to this anxiety. Maybe you grew up in a house where your parents were constantly arguing, or kind of stuff like that, but let's see what happens. We made up again, but then in early July got into a fight. She falsely accused me of cheating, and I stayed mad for days. She then again, without telling me, called our landlord. I don't know what I was going to say. Lord? Called our landlord and asked her out of the lease. Ouch. Now you may think I'm crazy. Nah, you guys are good. Now, it's tough. You know what I mean? If you grow up in a house where your parents were arguing all the time and you didn't learn how to communicate in a healthy situation, it can be really tough. I know, my stepdads were loca en la cabeza. They were crazy in the head, okay? They were alcoholics, bipolar, punching holes in the wall, flipping furniture. One of them was a crazy racist half the time, screaming about Hitler. I mean, it was pretty bad. So I know how tough it could be. Fortunately, my mom was sane enough to give me enough love and attention where I did not, head down that path. But I had one good, stable parent. For a lot of you guys, you didn't. So you don't even know what a healthy relationship even looks like. He said, again we got back together and I went looking for her at her new house. Things were pretty good until a fight this September where I left the house because she got mad at me for waking her up. And she said, that's why she didn't want me staying there, because I didn't let her sleep well. Well, by now, you just were not that valuable in her eyes, where something that small would make her want to throw you out. I felt hurt and embarrassed and stayed at my house for 2 days. When I finally called, she said she needed time to think. The next 2 weeks were like hell, with her going back and forth of saying she missed me, but then finally she said she was going to move on. Now this is one of the things that are critical for relationships, guys. I am constantly see that both breakups and getting your ex back are like, it's a back and forth situation. It's not usually a straight line. And for many of you guys that are just watching the videos, you don't understand this because, we haven't talked about this. But basically, it's not going to go straight. They don't come back and you get your ex back. It doesn't work like that. It's usually this and then that and then this and then that, and every situation is different, and I'm able to look at the little signs and the symptoms and tell you how to handle each one, which is nice, because it's not ever the way you think it goes. And just to throw this out there real quick, because I really need to talk about this in depth, the ideas that you guys have in the bargaining, I know many of you guys are constantly bargaining. If I did this, if I said that, if I did this, if I did that, if I only said this, or if I could do this for her, or if I say it like this, or if I write her this email or that letter. It stuff does not work. I promise you, guys, I have done this for a while. I know what I'm looking for here, and that is not the way you reattract your ex. I have one guy that I work with that is terrible about this. He's constantly fantasizing about these dates he plans, and then when they don't go that way, he's devastated. And I'm like, get out of your head. And we actually got him where he actually hooked up with her last week, and he should be hanging out with her any day now. But the point is that bargaining that's going on in your mind right now, usually those ideas, and when I say usually, I mean 98 out of 100, and I'm being nice with those 2%, those ideas do not work. So let me move on here. So she said she wanted to move on, even after I went with her to a support group at church, and worse, I went after her and asked, "Is there another guy?" She gave some half-ass answer which left me thinking and wondering that maybe there's somebody else. And when I kept bugging her, she just said that same week that she started to talk to somebody from her past. My heart dropped. Oh, that is the worst feeling in the world. When you love somebody and you're trying to work it out and all of a sudden they start talking to somebody else. And I'll be honest, I really do see this happen a lot more with women moving on quickly, because let's just lay it out. Let's be honest here. Men and women kind of live in different worlds when it comes to dating. A beautiful woman is constantly having guys approach her and chase after her, ask her out, and a lot of you ladies have guys in the background that you know, deep in the back of your mind, that your friends are wanting to be a lot more than friends, and you pretend that you don't know that, or you act like you don't know, but you do. And you got to be honest with yourself. And so a lot of times a woman breaks up with a guy and she lines somebody up right away because she doesn't want to go through it alone. She wants to be distracted. She doesn't want to deal with the pain. And so I think for us guys, relationships can be, or breakups can be more painful because women have somebody to keep them distracted a lot quicker and easier than the men do. For the most part, obviously not all situations, but I'm saying in general, I would say women are easier, can find somebody quicker and easier to start dating than the guys do. And that makes it tough because the guys don't have anything to forget about their ex. So yeah, she started dating somebody new right away. And I began to tell her all kinds of ugly, horrible things. I even went on to say that I would pray for her son because he's homosexual. He's 19 years old. I wanted to say anything to hurt her. I can't forgive myself for behaving this inexcusably. Despite all this, I still am missing her. I think I have no chance of ever getting her back, but I still do want her back. What, if anything, can I do? I'm feeling depressed and anxious, and I feel like I'm dying inside. Please help. Well, I think in your situation, you really need to work on your communication skills and managing your anxiety and really learning emotional self-control, because you were negative with her, you were hurtful, you were angry, and you're fighting. You didn't fight fair. You were saying and doing things to just hurt her. And, you know, not that she was perfect in this relationship, I'm not saying that, but you got to work on yourself. And, you know, possibly she'll come back in time. And if she does, you need to be ready for that relationship, because like I said, you guys focus on no contact all the time. No contact doesn't fix the problem. In this case, a big part of the problem is we have two people that lose emotional self-control. They get angry, they say hurtful things, they do hurtful things. Then there's no safety, there's no trust, then there's not going to be any intimacy. So, if you want to get my help personally, go to my website, AskCraig.net, and sign up for the coaching option that works best for you. If you like the video, throw a like on there and leave your comments in the comment section below. And make sure you subscribe to the channel because I do post videos Monday through Friday. But that's it for this video. I'm Coach Craig Kenneth, and I will talk with you soon.